guys, and welcome to Escape Wheel Watch Reviews. My name is Steve, and today we're looking at the Hruodland? I don't even know how to pronounce it, but I think the H is kind of silent, so I'm just gonna call it the Hruodland Royal Oak Homage Model F014. So this watch is on loan from a member of Reddit's Chinese Watches subreddit. So a huge thank you goes out to Mr. Elwood for sending in a few of his watches to the channel. I know I appreciate it, and I know you guys appreciate it, especially because I've been getting asked about this one for the better part of this month. People want to know about it, so he had it and was kind enough and willing to lend it to the channel, so a huge thank you goes out to Mr. Elwood. Thank you so much. The retail price for this watch is $245 or $265 depending on the dial you choose. It comes in 5 different dial configurations, so you have a blue or green fume dial, or a gradient dial is what they call it. It comes in a patchwork mother of pearl dial, and then it comes in blue or this beautiful black aventurine dial, and I think it looks absolutely spectacular. The watch is made of 316L stainless steel. It has a sapphire crystal, a screw down crown, screw in case back, 100 meters of claimed water resistance, obviously a stainless steel integrated bracelet, and is powered by the PT5000 movement. So it is one of the more expensive Royal Oak homages out there, but I also think it's very well executed, and I mean, honestly, it's worth the money. But does it deserve a spot in your watch box? Let's find out. But before we do, I've got the Pagani Design 1701 version 3. So this is the white dial, the white hands and the white indices. I reviewed version 1. I'll leave that up here. This is version 3 now, and I think it's a lot better than that one. I believe it's the same exact everything except for the dial and the hands. So, but this actually makes it legible. So that's a huge bonus for me. And let me know if you want me to do a full review on this thing. I'm kind of up in the air just because the only difference really is the hands and the dial. So, yeah, maybe I'll just do a quick review of it or something. We'll see. Anyway, back to the review. So, as always, I like to start out with dimensions. So this is a pretty easy one to measure. So we've got a 42.1 millimeter case. We've got 12.6 on the thickness. The lug to lug is 52.1. And then there's not really lug width on it, but the bracelet starts out at 26.5 and then tapers down to 18.2 at the clasp. And I mean, it's a big, heavy, chunky watch. I will leave the weight for it right here. But yeah, it's a big watch. Definitely with that 52, about the max that I really like to wear. And if you're into the style, though, I mean, these watches, they wear big in general, so you need something like 38 millimeters to make it wear like a 40 millimeter. So this one does wear a little bit bigger than I'm used to, but I mean, I think it looks so cool. Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty flat case. You do have a little bit turned down there right at the tips of the lugs there, but yeah, I think it looks pretty cool though. I'm gonna go outside right now and throw it on my wrist for you. Here we are on my 7.5 inch wrist, and you can see, I mean, this is pretty much the limit. It wears big just because the bracelet is pretty big, but yeah, it does look really good. You got lots of light play off that bracelet, and yeah, nice polished surfaces there. But the dial is definitely the star of the show. It doesn't really show up too much in this lighting, but I know under the studio lights it works pretty good. And out in some direct sunlight here, there you can see the dial sparkles pretty nicely as well. And again, lots of play off that bracelet. It looks great. Looks really good. Obviously no straps for this one, so strap shows pretty short. But yeah, it does look really good. There's the down the wrist shot there. You can see it does wear pretty flat, but it, you know, curves down a little bit right at the ends there. Typical with this Genta design. And but yeah, I think it just looks really cool. I do like it. A little bit big, but not terrible. Definitely I can pull it off. A little bit smaller can probably pull it off as well. But yeah, it's a big watch, but it looks really good. And yeah, even in direct sunlight, as you can see here, still legible. But it is a little bit worse in person, I'd say. But still, I think it's plenty legible. And yeah, I mean, just the sparkle of the dial looks so good. So good. What do you guys think? All right, let's go back inside and get back to the review. All right, so let's get in. We'll talk about the case finishing on this thing. So the tops of the case here, it is a vertical brushing, really nice, very parallel. It goes in the right direction. Sometimes you get some of this style of watch and the bezel, the brushing kind of goes at a little bit of an angle. This one, it looks, to me, looks spot on. You can see all these polished screws here in the bezel. I believe those go straight through and connect to these screws in the case back. I'm not going to take this apart to verify that, but yeah, I believe that's how this is assembled. But you can see all those hex screws. They are really nicely aligned, so nothing that's, nothing's out of alignment there. I think it looks really good. You do have brushing on the sides of the case here. Again, the brushing is done really nice on this case. I see no real issues with the brushing. It's very, very nicely done. Very happy with it. Same with the other side here. You do have, I guess, screw or drilled lugs here. I think you can actually take this out and then remove the bracelet and maybe put on a Royal Oak style bracelet with the, that fits into the case here. I'm obviously not going to take this one apart. But yeah, just kind of nice to see that attention to detail there. You do also have a really nice hexagon signed crown with the Hruodland, the Hruodland anchor there. Looks pretty good. The case back on this thing looks really good. You can see the bottom part of the case is actually like a bead blasted. It is a little sharp on these corners. I've noticed that while I'm just handling the watch. I've never been bothered with it on wrist. You can see circular brushing on the actual case back with a nice polished chamfer. And then, you've got the number 001 there, which I'm not really sure what that's for. You got the Hruodland text there as well. Nice display case back there. We'll test that for sapphire in just a second. And yeah, I think the case finishing on this is really nice. You can see, the transitions between that brushed and polished, you got this nice little polished chamfer here. It just looks so good. Very nice and smooth. Nice and crisp lines. The polishing and the brushing on this case is really good. The only part that I see that's not excellent is on the actual bezel itself. You can see right here, that's my only real nitpick with this is the bezel is not polished to the standard of the rest of these polishing areas. It's not bad, but it's definitely not the best. Polish it up for you here so you can see it really good. But yeah, right there, you can see it's just not a very smooth transition from that light to the dark there. It could be better. But honestly, when it's on wrist, you never notice it. And I think it does. It looks, from a distance, it looks great. It looks absolutely great. I've got no complaints with the case finishing on it. All right, so let's test the crystal in this. Crystals. So front is a sapphire. Let's test the back here. And look at that, the back is sapphire. So that is nice to see that they've got sapphire on both front and back. It's a very simple piece of sapphire. It is perfectly flat, as you can see here. It just barely protrudes from the bezel there. It does have some anti-reflective coating on it. It's been perfectly fine for me. I've seen no reason to knock any points off of this. So yeah, pretty happy with the crystal on this thing. And having the sapphire on the back is also pretty nice. All right, so let's talk about the star of the show, and that is the dial. So obviously, this is the black adventuring dial. It looks absolutely stunning. They do offer it in a few different ones, like I mentioned and showed earlier in the video. But this is definitely the way I would go personally because, it just looks so nice. So this is a very glossy black dial, lacquer black dial, and then it's got a bunch of flake in it. I see blue, I see purple, and then I see silver. It just looks really good. Getting real close, you can see all those colors. I guess I see some gold in there too. It looks absolutely spectacular. It looks really cool. I do like the applied indices in this. You got the kind of an elongated pill shape there, as you can see. Got the double pill at the 12 o'clock. Really nice black date window here. Very subtle. It blends in pretty good. It hasn't been an eyesore or anything like that. And then you've got this nice shortened, little truncated one because of that date window. Looks really good. The handset on this, I think it matches perfect. It's again pill shaped. You've got that pill shaped counterbalance, which is loomed on the second hand. I think it looks really good. You got that Hruodland logo at the 12 o'clock, automatic at 6 o'clock. Very simple. But I think the way they finished this, the hands, the indices, are getting real close here. It just looks so good. They did an excellent job with this. I mean, the dial on this thing is just perfect. You will notice there is a polished rehout on this thing, as you can see, right up here. That's the space in between the glass and the crystal, if you're unaware. Usually that's brushed. I wish they would have gone brushed on this one, just because the polishing is not, I mean, look at that. It's not good. Yeah, not very good. I just wish they would have brushed that. I think it would have looked a lot better. And normal viewing, I think it does look fine. But when you get at these extreme angles like this, it doesn't look great. But I mean, the starter show is definitely that dial. It looks great, especially, I mean, all lighting conditions, I think it looks really good. You get lots of sparkle off of it, especially in my studio lights. But at nighttime, when you kind of have like ambient lighting out, it sparkles as well. And it just looks really, really cool. I love this dial, and I definitely think it's worth that extra $20 or so. And I did mention the lume on the counterbalance. Well, all the indices are lumed as well as the hands. So I'm going to pop up a lume shot right now. And here you can see it against some of the other watches in my collection. And it holds its own. My camera kind of went AWOL and missed out on the last 5 or so minutes of the time lapse. But I mean, it hangs in there with the Addy's Dive Willard, which is perfectly acceptable. It lasts all night long. You don't really have any trouble reading it. Definitely could be improved. But I think given the fact that the area that the lume is applied to is so small, this is really pretty impressive. So yeah, it could be better, but it's definitely not bad at all. So keep that in mind. So let's talk about the movement. So the movement inside is the PT 5000 movement. I've had this movement in, I don't know, probably 7 or 8 watches now, and every single one of them has been perfectly acceptable. I've had no problems with any of them. They all feel the same. They have a very stiff winding action, but they're very smooth. Yeah, like I said, I've got no real problems with it. First position here, it changes your date. The second position will hack the second hand there. So this is a hand winding and hacking movement, 28,800 beats per second. So you get 8 ticks of the second hand every second. So a nice smooth sweep. Time setting, it's been fine for me. The hands don't jump around when you press in the crown, which is nice. Yeah, and you can actually see it through the display case back here, which is nice, but I mean, it's not a fancy movement at all. It's an Etta clone with 0 decoration on it, and yeah, it is what it is. I mean, it's nice to see it back there, but it's not something you're going to want to look at a lot. The movement is operated by this 3 o'clock screw down crown, again signed with that logo. Really cool hex logo. I've heard people have problems with this style of crown, setting it and getting grip on it. I've never had an issue with it, so yeah, I don't know. Maybe this one's just a little bit bigger. But yeah, I got plenty of grip. The screw in, screw out action. It's very smooth. I've got no problems with it. All right, so let's talk about the bracelet on this thing. So the bracelet is done really nice. Like I mentioned earlier, it's integrated. It tapers from about 26 down to 18 millimeters at the clasp. You have a mixture of brushed and polished surfaces. So on the top surface here, you have this really nice brushing. I mean, it's very nicely done. Pretty coarse brushing, but I think it goes with the style. Same on those little links there. Really nice coarse brushing. And then on each end of these little links, you have polished surfaces. So it does sparkle a little bit extra, catching the light on those surfaces, which is nice to see. You've got vertical brushing, so an up and down brushing on the sides of these links. Really nice. And then you've got this really nice chamfer that kind of carries over from the case that runs all along the length of the bracelet here. Really nicely done. Very happy with it. It's a pretty fluid bracelet. Obviously, these first few links here are pretty stiff. Those first links right there are pretty stiff. But otherwise, everything else, it flows pretty good. It's been a somewhat comfortable bracelet. I'm not going to lie. When I was out and about with this watch the very first day, I did notice it was kind of irritating my wrist a little bit, but I got somewhat physical. I wasn't like playing basketball or anything, but I wasn't just sitting still with it. So I did notice that it did just a little bit on these bottom edges here, kind of dig into the wrist. You can see they did try and hone it a little bit. I wish they would hone it just a little bit more. But yeah, I think overall, it's mostly okay. It wasn't a hair puller or anything like that. It does have a decent amount of flex to it, which is good. The clasp on it, pretty nicely done. It is a 2-stage clasp, so you got to do this side first and then this side here folds over the top. It does have, again, that Hruodland logo on it. Really nicely done, square logo with polished chambers on all the corners. And yeah, I mean, I think the bracelet pulls off that royal oak look really, really good. Yeah, it's excellent. The finishing on this is really nice and even, as you can see here. I mean, yeah, it just looks great. Looks really, really good. My only complaint with it, other than it being a little bit uncomfortable, is the fact that there's no half links and there's no micro adjust. So getting a perfect fit is going to be tough, I think. Thankfully for me and for Mr. Elwood, we're the same wrist size, so that was nice to see, and we got a good fit. So yeah, really happy with that. And before I forget, you can see here screw links for adjusting the bracelet. So there you go, guys. That's the Hruodland Royal Oak Homage with the aventurine dial. I think it looks absolutely stunning. Again, I'll give you a close-up one more time of that dial. It looks so good. So if you are interested in purchasing this, I'll be leaving a link to the official Hruodland store on AliExpress down below. And pick yourself up this thing. If you guys like the style and you like the size of this thing, go for it. It is awesome. Really, really good. I've been enjoying wearing it. So thank you again to Mr. Elwood for lending this to the channel. And yeah, I'm looking forward to reviewing his other pieces as well. Obviously, this one won't be staying with me for too long, so you're not going to be seeing any pictures of it on my Instagram. But do head over to my Instagram anyway and subscribe over there. That's where I will be posting most of my stuff before it goes to the channel. Same thing with Reddit. I do post my watches to Reddit quite often before I actually get them on camera. So yeah, tune into Reddit and to my Instagram. If you guys have any questions or comments, let me know. I will do my absolute best to answer them without the watch in my possession. I think that's about it though. Yeah, thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I'll talk to you in the next one. See ya.